Let's make a small exercise, the so-called bouncing ball exercise. Of course, naturally, you would do a physics body simulation, whatever in this case, but we will just do it by hand just to learn some things. And if I go to Google Images or DuckDuck Images or whatever it is, if I write bouncing ball animation, we have some cheat sheets, some guides here. You see again for 12 principles of animation here. But anyways, what does it mean? So first of all, we see trajectory of the thrown ball. You see it's always curved up to this point, and there is a sharp edge. Again, smooth bend, sharp corner, smooth bend, sharp, and so on and so on. Now, each ball here represents a frame. So you see that here in the beginning, it's a bit slower because the frames, it doesn't change that much. It moves a little bit, then it moves much faster till it hits the ground. And it's like basically it increases the speed, and here it decreases the speed and slows down. And then again, it goes fast, bounces back, and slows down in the middle of the air here till it loses its energy and it calms down. Also, notice that we have squish and stretch kind of principle. I think that's the first one from 12 principles of animation. So basically, when the object hits the ground, you see it gets squished. So that's kind of part of reality. It depends on of course, if it's a stone ball, probably it won't do that. But if it's a inflated balloon, maybe it will do more of this. It depends on the material, but it's also a kind of an expression used in animation to show what the object is doing, much more kind of convincingly. But there is another one, elongation. This one here. So stretch probably would be, and basically, in order to show the trajectory of the object, kind of more visually, we kind of start to elongate it along its trajectory. And here at the last moment before it hits the ground, it's actually, it's a wrong shape. It's elongated. So this is probably, it won't happen in real life, but it's again good exaggeration to show to convince our animation what happens with this ball, how it goes around. So you can try doing it with this and without this. And of course, depending on the material, on the gravity, it will jump higher or it won't jump at all. If it's a stone ball, maybe it will fall down and maybe it will just bounce once and very, very not high. And if it's a tennis ball, maybe it will bounce even more, and so on and so on. So let's try to simulate this here. So again, I grab a ball and I position it somewhere. Sorry, forgot my shortcuts. Oh, yeah. All right, so we have the ball, and we will just set a keyframe, just for a start. And let's say in frame 15, it will jump down. And now at this moment, I will... Okay, so I have my first keyframe here, now frame 15. And what we'll do is we will change its position to, say, here. Let's pretend this is our ground right here. So now you see that we have, in this case, after this motion, we have a keyframe in X and Y positions. So we're not gonna touch the Z one, so we don't need it. Okay, let's say 30, it goes up. What is it? 30, 45, goes down. I lost the track where the ground is for me, whatever. And so on. I'm not gonna do all of it. Basically, we have a motion right here. And the motion is very, you see, kind of linear. Doesn't have much of the curve that we want. So we will go to our curve editor, which is called Windows Animation Editors, Graph Editors. So Graph Editor, and yes, that's the curve we are looking for. And the next thing we want to do is again to make a bigger curve right here, and then a sharp corner here. So here at the moment, we just changed the orientation, but we cannot change the length. So what we have to do is a right click and weighted tangents. So those are things called tangents. Basically, that's what I want to do. And this I like maybe a bit more. Let's see. And here I want a sharp corner. So I could just do something like, I don't know, so it's the thing, and Yeah, something like that would work as well. I should have much sharper corners. Yes. Oops, sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. Okay, I have to free them up so I can work with them separately. I don't know, was it? Rectangle length. Oops, don't want that. And like that. Okay, let's see what we have here. So say this, oops, say this viewport, and let's play back. And it's much better. And it's much better. You already see that we even have slow in, slow out somehow, and the trajectory is quite better. We should continue till it loses energy and stops. But you see, it's kind of slowing faster, slows down at the top, and so on and so on. Of course, there is still lots of things to tweak, but it will be good enough for us at the moment. Okay, the next thing is to make a rotation. And it is good to follow this rule, like first position, then rotation, and then scale. And in general, I would say it doesn't matter how you do it, but it will matter for scaling because, when we have, this is our top down of the ball, and we can scale according to one of the axes. And you see now all the axes are like up and down. We cannot scale it, looking at trajectory. So basically, first we'll do this rotation. Here I will rotate it probably 90 degrees. Is it J? No, what was the shortcut to? Yeah. So how much do I need? Let's see where it is. Oh, here it is. 90. Okay, 90. And we have a keyframe. So it should rotate. Yep, it rotates nicely. Next step from 90 should be 100. First I hit J, then I start moving. That's 180. And you will you will soon see why we care about this exact numbers. What was it? Next one, 270, is it? Let's hope it's 270. I don't remember. 270, and then we have what? 360. 360, and let's say that's good enough for us. And now it rotates. Next thing we would want to do is to make scale when it hits the ground, so it becomes longer. And of course, it only has to happen in the one frame where it actually hits the ground, which means that at this frame, I will, well, first of all, let's see which axis it is. It's scale Y, undo. And in scale Y, I set a keyframe. Key selected. One frame before the hit. And the frame where it hits, I elongate it and I squish it. So basically, as much I made it longer, as much I have to make it narrower, shorter. So you could actually do some math. If it's 0.7, then this one should be 1.3 probably. Something like that. Oh, I made somewhere. Oh, because scale X, I'm scaling it 2 axes, and as you see, I made a keyframe right here, one frame before it hits the ground in both axes. It should be keyed. So normal scale, it squishes. Here it has to come back to a normal scale. So that's scale in this and in this directions. It goes back. First, I made a way too much here. It's really cartoonish. Maybe let's change it. Looks ugly. So let's say it will be 0.9 to 1.1. Should be a bit better. I see it's not And now, if you were to make this a really cartoonish thing, you would not have this the scale 1 frame before it hits the ground, but you actually would have it, in this axis. You would make more. See one. Since I made 1 1, I will also make 1 1, and therefore this one should be 0.9, I think. And now we have a kind of more cartoonish version. You see, from 1 1 scale, it kind of elongates till it hits the ground. We could elongate it here again, and so on. So let's try doing a bouncing ball manually, just like that. So we learn how to key things, how to set keys, and of course, our animation friend, graph editor. We work with this a lot, especially when we need to smooth out animations. You see some weird shapes here. We would want to smooth this out a bit, and so on and so on.